CBS News. I'm Steve Kathan. It's a whiteout across the upper Midwest. Blizzard conditions and dangerous wind chills from Wisconsin to Montana. Bonnie Amistadi is at affiliate KFGO in Fargo, North Dakota.
These strong winds, 40 miles an hour, are blowing the snow around. As I was trying to get out of my house this morning, there was like a 3-foot drift I had to walk over.
Some wind chills in North Dakota make it feel like 40 below.
Let's check in now with KFGO reporter Bonnie Amistadi.
I, too, got onto I-29, was trying to go southbound. I've got Paulee at Schultz, board operator, with me, and he's riding shotgun. And we got scared on I-29. We had to get off. We took 94 to I-29 southbound off the interstate, and we had to get off at 32nd because we couldn't even see. We'd see maybe an occasional one dash on the road to the white line, and that was about it. Some very, very heavy drifts. Plows are out, as Don Haney mentioned, but very tough going here. It's not too often we get scared, but I think it's safe to say both Paulie and I were scared as we were just traveling maybe less than a mile, that stretch between I-94 and 32nd as we worked to get off of it, though we were hitting pillow drifts, and we couldn't see but one or two vehicle lengths in front of us. Also, as these plows are working here, they're also kicking up snow fog in addition to these strong winds that are blowing the snow around. And there was two spots where I actually had to hit the brakes and come to a stop because we couldn't see, and that was just on 32nd as we were traveling. So very nasty conditions. I didn't see any traffic out on the interstate. There is some moving, obviously, but I didn't see any when we were on I-29 for that short stretch. But in town, there is some traffic moving around. People are getting around, as Don Haney mentioned, but, we wouldn't suggest, unless it's an emergency, you need to get, you're a critical aid worker or something, need to get to work or, trying to get to the hospital or something. We would suggest that you stay put because it's very nasty conditions. In town, you can see, it's probably on the city streets, maybe a quarter-mile visibility, but you got pillow drifts in many, many areas, even though plows have been out working. But out on the interstates, especially when you get out in the open, boy, visibility pretty close to zero at times. So very nasty conditions, the worst conditions we've seen in quite a long time, Paul.
Well, travel conditions, as Bonnie Amistadi indicated, certainly not the best outside of the sheltered areas of Fargo, Moorhead. Let's go out to KFGO newsman Don Haney, who's been to the airport. I can tell you that all the flights, Frontier, Northwest Airlines, all canceled these early morning flights, both arrivals and departures. The only one that's still on the board as a possibility, well, actually two. An arrival at 10:15, flight 2195, that's a Northwest flight, that is still scheduled for 10:15, and then that same aircraft would depart at 11:57. That is still scheduled. Don, you've been to the airport. Anybody up there?
Paul, it's an amazing sight, something you don't see very often in that at this time of the day anyhow, and that is that you could shoot a cannon through the airport and not hit anybody. It is vacant. There was two security guards, a couple of airline employees, I think, for Frontier, and somebody up at the restaurant. And it is absolutely empty. Obviously, was looking around. We assume there might be some people that had driven in from out of town or something, trying to make flights this morning, unaware that the flights had been canceled. Earlier, there had been a few people roaming around the terminal there that came in not knowing the flights were canceled, but nobody there. I can tell you that traveling, even in town, is tough. You get out on the interstate. From the airport, I went south on I-29 over at the North Dakota Department of Transportation garages here on Frontage Road off of I-29 near West Acres right now. I was just talking with Bruce North, the district supervisor for North Dakota DOT here in southeast North Dakota. They've essentially had overlapping crews on overnight. They cut back on the number of plows. Obviously, they're trying to, get so they don't have a lot of problems out there. They're worried about plows breaking and that sort of thing if this thing continues. They do have a fairly large contingent right now, 4 plows. I passed them going when I was headed south on I-29. They were northbound on I-29, 4 plows. They must have went up to about Cass 20 and turned around and came back. They're now southbound on I-29, but we can tell you the travel on Interstate 29. I know Bonnie, I believe earlier, was on 94, but 29, it's nasty. There's a lot of drifts. They're already hard. Visibility is very poor, and it's almost hard at some places to find the exits. So very, very little traffic on the interstate right now. I've seen a few cars. I saw one semi wrecker truck go by me here. I'm facing the interstate now. I can see it through the snow here, and it was pulling a semi rig. I don't know if there was some accident or something, but it was headed south on the interstate. Just a short distance from me, I did see a Fargo police cruiser go down I-29 here. He stopped somewhere over just to the south of me. I can see his lights flashing. I believe there may have been a car that slid into the ditch over there. I'll head over there and see what I can see. But tell you what, you don't have to go anywhere this morning. Don't. There's just a few semis out on the interstate as well. We can tell you that the snow plows, even as I was southbound, the way the winds are going, I had snow fog kicked into my lane, and I was in complete whiteout conditions there for a while, and I was driving very carefully, very slowly. You don't have to travel today unless it's an absolute emergency. Keep it that way. Paul, I might also mention Bruce Nord. As always, North Dakota DOT and North Dakota Highway Patrol, watchful, very watchful about travel conditions out there regarding the interstates. They had conferred as late as last night, 10:30, with North Dakota Highway Patrol about the status of the interstates, whether or not there would be any decisions to close. Nothing on that yet. Again, to reiterate, no decisions yet, but they're playing it by ear, and depending on what they see this morning now when daylight breaks and whatnot, I'm sure we'll have some more information on that later today, just based on what we've seen out in the metro area this morning. So travel conditions out here are very tricky and not to be advised this morning. We're kind of the lab rats out here trying to talk to some of the newsmakers and that, but it is pretty bleak out here. It's been a long time since we've seen conditions like this, Paul.
KFGO's Don Haney on Interstate 29. Live on our KFGO Newsline is Cass County Sheriff Paul Laney. We've been in touch with Sheriff Laney for the last hour or so, and Sheriff Laney, no travel in the county, right?
Definitely, absolutely no travel advised in Cass County. The visibility outside, within town, it's horrible, but once you leave the city limits, it's absolutely zero. I've got deputies staged throughout the county, and they cannot see 10 feet in front of them if they've had to try to move.
Live, local first for weather, KFGO and KFGO.com.